archer I have chosen to target. These last 2 years have been years of much resistance, great restraints in your ministry. Trouble, hardship, frustration, disappointment, moments of goodness, moments of breakthrough, hardship, struggle, discipline. The Lord says it felt like as you were surging forward, it always felt like you were being resisted or pulled back. And He said, and you were. But it wasn't the enemy's hand. It was my doing. Because He said the bow represents the leadership of this house. The string represents you and your wife. The arrow represents the children that are called to the nations. And He says, and I loaded the bow as the riding archer, chose my sights. But for me to get you to the distance that I'm calling you, I have to stretch you. He said, this has been a season where ministry, the bow is curved, is being curved. It's being changed. It's being transformed. And He said, the resistance was only so I could get the distance out of the call that I've placed on this house. He says, but now hear me this day. I am opening my hand to release the feathers of this house like an arrow or an eagle to someone. I have called you to hit the mark, the perfect place, to bring change to your communities. He said, I'm going to begin to rally the churches that you have launched that I call your sons. I'm going to begin to rally them back. For some have been at a distance. Others have done their own. But He says, I'm going to rally them back because they're going to need to hear your voice in this season. You're the voice of one that has endured. You're the voice of one who has struggled. You are the voice of one that's been alone and spent time like never before, questioning me, saying, am I doing the right thing? The Lord says, and in that season, son, my voice was silent. And you waited to hear, or who had a word, or who could encourage. And when no one was found, your wife, Darlene, would say, honey, it's going to be okay. And He said, in that season, when no one knew how alone we felt, I was the whisper that gave you the strength to stand, to preach and proclaim. But yet, you felt, God, where am I? Where are you? And He says, I've been closer than ever. And He says, now every restraint financially, every restraint mentality-wise, even the restraints that have physically kept the leaders in this house from moving into its next season have been removed. For I've opened my hand and I release this house into its destined place beyond. I release them into a place of praise and victory, and I awaken the shout of praise, and I will awaken the enthusiasm that this house is called to have. The days where the house fluctuates, grows and shrinks, grows and shrinks, I'm bringing to an end, and I'm bringing stability. The Lord says, I'm bringing an end to those who come and look, to those who come and stay. I am bringing and awakening sons, daughters of the kingdom that will become messengers of life and hope. And He says, and I'm going to the churches that you have sent out, and I'm healing them, and I'm touching them, and I'm awakening them to realize how much they need your voice. They're in a land of struggle, a land of frustration. They're trying to sort it out themselves. But they're going to gain from the wisdom that you had through these last 2+ years. And you're going to speak a message of life and hope and strength, resilience into them. That's going to cause their minds to change and their hearts to see all that I have for them in this next season. I open my hand